But the story of my Southern family and their principles was more complicated than that of my New England family because of slavery. I couldn't ignore its presence. All Southern families, regardless of their race, who trace their bloodlines back before the Civil War, are affected by the presence of that peculiar institution. They may not mention it, but it helps shape who they are. My great-grandfather Frank fought for the Confederacy, and my great-grandmother Sarah grew up in a privileged household in antebellum Louisiana. Certainly, slavery played a part in their lives. So I wondered about this. How did people of principle navigate the ethical maelstrom of slavery? How could they maintain personal integrity during that dark, basilisk reign, or during its terrible aftermath? Frank and Sarah were both writers, so I could read their thoughts in hundreds of pages of editorials, essays, letters, and journals, both published and unpublished. They wrote about their joys and excitements, grieved over their losses, set down their hopes and fears, and told their own moving and tender and hair-raising stories. But in one sense, even before I read their stories, I knew who they were. They had bequeathed their beliefs to me. I was the recipient of the family culture. I was part of it. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn how they had maintained the code of honor of my Welsh ancestors. I wanted to learn and tell their story, a modern version of the one my family had been telling for 700 years, how we had climbed up into the steepest, most inaccessible mountain heights rather than give up our principles, if we had. Here is that version. All the facts in it are true as far as I could determine. All the letters and diary entries are real, as are all the other published sources. As a biographer, I hewed to the facts, even when they made me uncomfortable. The language, words, and attitudes are drawn from published and unpublished material. These are sometimes shockingly racist, reflecting the reality of those shockingly racist times. As a novelist, I wrote this as a living, breathing tale, one that unfolds to span the lifetimes of my great-grandparents. Frank Dawson was born in England, and Sarah Dawson died in France, but they are both buried in Charleston, South Carolina, where they spent their happiest years together. Part 1. 1. March 12, 1889, Charleston, South Carolina. He wakes as he is falling. He feels himself plunging into space, a great wheeling emptiness below. He's been on the edge of a cliff, grappling with a man trying to shoot him. Dawson grabs him, wrestling for the gun, but he wrenches away, pulling Dawson off balance. The man presses the gun against Dawson's chest. He hears the great enveloping sound of the shot. Then he feels the sickening shift beneath his feet as he loses his grip on the world. As he falls, Dawson grabs the man's shoulder to save himself, but instead pulls the man over with him. They fall together, still grappling, as though holding on to each other will help. Dawson's body is clenched and tight, muscles still focused on what he just had, solid ground beneath him. But instead there is this, the long drop into whistling black. Dawson sits up, sweating. He's in the narrow bed in his dressing room. His thrashing has pulled the sheets loose, and his feet are now tangled and trapped. The room is dim and shadowy, the curtains drawn for the night. The patent wallpaper, the tall mahogany bureau, the brass bedstead are all familiar but irrelevant. He's still in his nightmare, heart hammering. He still feels the terror of pitching into space, the body's last clenching try at holding on to life. He still feels the man's coarse sleeve in his grasp, smells his sour rankness. The sound of the gunshot still explodes in his ears. He kicks his feet free and gets up.